Okay, so you are all very welcome to another Wednesday. What is evening for me? Another pause in the middle of the week. My name's Marie. I was going to say my name's Sharon. My name's Marie, and I'm one half of the Exhale Awakening. And somewhere on your screen is Sharon, who is the other half of the Exhale Awakening. And yeah, this pause in the middle of the week is an invitation to put down what's been going on and to rest. And we will lead you through, for people who haven't been here before, we lead you through 4 different breath styles. Each breath style will open with some birdsong, and then we'll finish with silence. And we use the silence in birdsong very deliberately. We use the birdsong because it's one of those things that's as old as man, woman themselves, because our ancestors knew when they heard the birds they were safe. And somewhere in our brains, there's still that trigger that when we hear the birds that we're safe. So the birds we use for that signal of safety, but it also brings us into our parasympathetic nervous system and allows our brain to begin doing the things that it can do when we're in the parasympathetic nervous system. And that's rest, but it's so much more than rest. And then when we give the brain silence as well, we allow the brain to make new neural pathways. So the things that happen when we mix birdsong, silence, and breath are quite magical. And we're going to invite you to give yourself 50 minutes or so of that. So yeah, all sorts of good things can happen. In this session, the breath styles, and I'll go through them for anybody who likes to know before we begin. We will lead you through them, so there is absolutely no need to remember any of this. But we're going to begin with a breath awareness. We're going to move then into rectangle breath. We're then going to do a very, very gentle, connected breath, where we're going to breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth. And we're going to finish with coherent breathing. And as we breathe in this session, we have our willow deeper exhale session on Sunday. So we are going to bring some of the willow energy into this session as well to support us and to journey alongside us. We have one rule here, and that rule is be comfortable. So do what you need to do to tend to your own physical comfort. So if you need to move, please feel free to move. If you need to make sounds or vocalize, and it's okay in the space that you're in, you're all muted, so please feel free to do that as well. The one thing we would ask is that you don't stand up quickly. You are at home and things happen at home. Maybe you'll be called upon. And if you are, just allowing your breath to come back to its natural rhythm, allowing your breath to settle so that any changes in your body also can settle. Sometimes we get lightheaded when we do breath work, and standing up suddenly can be dangerous. This, however, is also breath work, and breath work by its nature can bring us to places that feel a little less comfortable or feel a little like hard work. You may not be in a place in this session where you want to even look at that, and that's fine. And just bring your breath back to its natural rhythm if that's the case, and any sensations will begin to subside. I suppose the invitation is that if you're in a place where you can maybe sit with the discomfort, we invite you to sit with it. We will never invite you to push through it. We will never invite you to get to the other side. Just to sit with it and see what it has for you. Sometimes that act of sitting with the discomfort can begin to change it, or maybe help us notice something we hadn't noticed before. So the invitation is to sit with the discomfort. Equally, any breath style that we invite you to is just that. It's just an invitation. And maybe, as I said, the breath styles, maybe you kind of went with one of them. Oh, I don't like that one. And yes, that's a perfectly reasonable reaction. The invitation that we give is give it a go. even you've given it a go before, and even it didn't feel great before, sometimes a breath style can feel different depending on how things are, depending on how you are. So again, and it is just an invitation. The invitation is to try the breath style. And if it just doesn't sit right with you in this session, please feel absolutely free to bring your breathing back to its natural rhythm, or to go back to some of the other breath styles that we've done. It is your session, and you're in control of it. Yes, we will guide you. Yes, we will invite you to do things, but it is very much your session. And I suppose the biggest invitation is to listen to your own body. Because if you listen to your own body, then you will do and get what you need from this session. You can do this seated, or you can do it lying down. If you're seated, please make sure you're properly supported. And if you're lying down and maybe you have a pillow under your head, make sure it's not too high so that the breath can move freely in and out and isn't in any way obstructed. That feels like it was a lot of talking. I think I've covered everything. Yes, I'm getting nods. So that being said, make yourself comfortable and we will begin. Just thinking about your own physical comfort right now. And maybe adjusting slightly. Could you be a little bit more comfortable? And maybe really noticing if there's any part of you. Sometimes we don't even notice that we're uncomfortable. So just really feeling into, am I comfortable? Or is there somewhere that I need to move or adjust as we begin? And as the birdsong begins, just taking time to arrive. There's no need to change anything right now. Just taking time to maybe leave to one side stuff that you've had or that you've carried today, or stuff that you've been doing, maybe stuff that you have to do. Just leaving it to one side, knowing that it will be there when we're finished if you feel you need to pick it up. And just noticing what's present for you as we begin. And noticing without feeling the need to judge it or criticize it or even question it. The very fact that you've shown up here is enough. So just noticing what's present. And in this segment, I'm not going to invite you to change your breath in any way. Although sometimes just the act of bringing focus to it changes it, and that's okay. But I'm not going to invite any specific breath pattern, or just your natural breath rhythm, whatever that is in this moment. Maybe noticing where you feel your breath in your body now. Not where you should feel it, or not where you would like to feel it, but where do you feel it? And how do you feel it? I'm not searching for answers either, just allowing the questions to sit. What's your breath telling you right now? Maybe your breath's telling you something that you don't even know yet consciously. And when we work with Willow, we work with the emotions. Just noticing what emotions are there. And sometimes emotions are hard to find. And that's okay too. Just noticing that. But how do you feel right now? Maybe you have a sense of something, but you can't put a name on it, and that's okay too. Maybe you know there's something there. And you don't always need to name it. Just noticing that it's there. And as we do this, try not to get into the naming things as good or bad. Just noticing that they're there and knowing that they're okay. And sometimes those feelings are just beyond the thinking mind. You're just at the edge and not pushing to find them. Just acknowledging that they're there. Just giving space for anything that you feel or anything that you sense. Just giving it space to move. Well, it was a tree that bends but doesn't break. Knowing that you can let these things flow, you won't break either. We're coming towards our first period of silence. And just allowing yourself to rest in the silence.
As the birdsong brings the first silence to a close, you're just invited to reflect on how it felt to spend some time in silence. Particularly perhaps paying attention to how the silence felt in that spirit of being with Willow. And for our next breath, we are going to do a take, I suppose, on rectangle. So the willow tree is associated with the moon, with the lunar cycles. It's the lunar tree. And so on the inhale, perhaps you can imagine the moon as it waxes, as it gets bigger. As your lungs fill, so the moon gets bigger. Have a pause at the top for the full moon. And then as you exhale, imagining the moon getting smaller. And then pause at the bottom again for the inhale, for the new moon. Before inhaling, pausing, exhaling, and pausing all over again. And I'm not going to count for you here. Find your own count. Imagining that growing moon as your lungs grow and you get to the top of your inhale. Pausing to honor the full moon. Before you gently exhale and pause at the bottom to honor the new moon. Just keep your pauses to be about the same length And your inhale and exhale to be about the same length. Making a kind of rectangle with your breath. And just noticing as you're breathing how you are feeling as you connect to that moon cycle. Maybe imagining the way sometimes our emotions pull on us and seem to get bigger. Then how also with the breath and with our awareness, we can let those emotions dissipate and move on, energy in motion. Keep bringing your attention back to your breath and the visualization of the waxing and waning moon. And you might notice the quality of the different phases. Maybe noticing how the inhale feels and how it feels to pause at the top of your breath with full lungs. Noticing how the exhale feels, perhaps like a release, but perhaps something different. And then noticing the pause at the bottom with empty lungs. And being aware of these phases of your breath and noticing how each feels. We've got 40 seconds or so, so maybe allowing your next exhale to be the last exhale in this pattern and return to your natural rhythm. And as we move into the silence, just noticing how it felt to breathe with the moon.
And as the birds bring the silence to a gentle close, just reflecting on what that silence felt like. And what was in the silence for you. And in our next segment, I'm going to invite you to conscious breathing. I'm going to invite you to connect the breaths. But I'm going to invite you to a gentle, gentle form of connected conscious breathing. So sometimes when we do this, it's pull on the inhale, and if that's what you feel like doing in this segment, you're very welcome to. But I'm going to invite you to breathe, to make your inhale soft and slow, and to inhale through your nose, if that's possible, and then to exhale through your mouth, just to let the breath fall out through your mouth. And to keep it connected so that it's like the willow grows at the river's edge, so that it's like the water in the river just continues to flow, but softly and without any need to force or to push or to pull, just gently and softly. Keeping the breaths connected and in constant motion. And then And just letting the breath fall out through your mouth. And this is the breath that we do in the water section of our elements breathing. And can be really good for emotional regulation. And if as you breathe, your breath feels too much or feels tight, maybe allowing a sigh as you release it. Maybe even with a voice or a whispered sigh. And as we breathe in this segment, putting sighs in as and when you need them. And maybe between the sighs, playing with having your mouth open wide or closing it down like you're blowing through a straw. Just noticing what each one feels like. But keeping the breaths connected, keeping that flow. Maybe as the breath flows, maybe some of the emotions begin to flow too. And just allowing that. And knowing that if you feel the need for a sigh, just introduce a sigh. Breaths connected, but gently connected. Those branches trail in the water, and the water slowly flows through them and past them. And feeling that flow of breath. And maybe the flow of emotion if that's necessary. If you feel the need to let go even more of what you're holding, just sighing it out. the last 30 seconds. Maybe you need a big, big sigh to finish. And then resting gently again in the silence.
And once again, the birdsong invites us to safety once again, and invite you to notice how that silence felt. Noticing the way the breath impacts the silence. And then our last breath in this session, we're going to remember the waters of wisdom that the willows stand in. We're going to get a sense of the balance that comes from allowing our emotions to move through us. And sometimes there are highs of emotion and sometimes lows. Sometimes they're just neutral. But all of the time they're there as a wisdom mechanism. It's a way of accessing our inner wisdom. So with this coherence breath, just allowing your inhale to equal your exhale. Gently finding a count that works for you. Maybe finding a pattern in the music. Maybe counting in your head. Maybe just letting your body tell you how to balance the breaths. Finding your balanced breath within the music, inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Gently inhaling and gently exhaling. Finding your own body's rhythm and allowing yourself to feel. We're into the last 90 seconds now, so if your focus has drifted, just bring it back to the breath. And maybe you'll find that you can extend your count just by one. One on the inhale and one on the exhale. As we prepare to move into the final silence of this breathwork, allowing your breath to return to its natural rhythm. As you let the silence envelop you in one last quiet, gentle hug.
And as the birdsong begins for the final time in this session, just taking a few moments before we begin our journey back to reflect on the last silence or the whole session. And maybe what's different now, maybe what's exactly the same. And it is time to begin to consider the journey back to your physical space and also to the Zoom room. So taking a moment to notice the connection that you have with the surface that you're sitting or lying on. And just considering the connection that has to the ground and then below the floor of the house and deep down into the earth, just as the willow's roots go deep down into the earth, and just feeling that connectedness just for a moment. Then maybe introducing some gentle movement, stretching or wiggling or whatever feels good for your body right now. And if your eyes are still closed, opening them and just connecting with the space around you. And slowly getting up and making your way back to the Zoom room.
And whilst you're making your way back, just the usual notices that we have in the chat box here or underneath if you're watching this on the recording. We do post these recordings so that you can see them. They go on YouTube and into our community, and the links for both of those are there if you'd like to subscribe and follow us on YouTube or join the community, which you can do for free. then both of the links are there for you to be able to have a look at. We do have 2 longer breathworks each month, and we've referred today to the willow tree because on Sunday we'll be having our mini breathwork retreat on Sunday evening from 6 till 9, when we'll be going a little bit deeper into the willow and what it means for us and how we can connect and learn from the wisdom of the trees. And then a couple of weeks later, on the last Friday of the month, at 7 p.m, we'll be breathing with the astrology of the time. So we call it the sun's whispers as the sun moves around the zodiac. And that's going to be focusing on Taurus and that foundational energy and resourcefulness of Taurus. And then, not to forget, because I'm very excited about this, our 3-day retreat in Yorkshire, which is now live. I went to visit the site last week on a beautiful sunny day, and the land met us there and was very gracious. So tickets are available for that retreat. You can come for the full 3 days, or you can come just for 1 day, or anything in between. You can build it however you like it. And then finally, of course, there's our directory listing there. If you've enjoyed the session and you'd like to leave us a review, we love to receive them. And also there, if you're not in the community, in our community, you can message us there and we'll receive that message. And before I close off the recording, simply to say, do take care of yourself. Although this was gentle, breathwork is powerful and ripples out, especially appropriate as we've been playing with the waters of Willow. But it will ripple out beyond this session. So just be cognizant of yourself, be careful of yourself, and be kind as we leave the breathwork. So on that note, I'm going to stop the recording and invite the people into the room, into Hearth and Voices. And if you are listening, and you wanted to leave a comment, then do leave a comment and we'll pick that up as well.